Hello everyone, my name is Shonda and welcome to my channel Under the Needle. So, I'm going to start 2022 off with a bang, and I've got a lot going on. So, I'm going to be doing 2 quilt-alongs and a retreat, all in the first 3 months of the year. So, I'm going to be a busy girl. So, I'm going to show you guys the first sew-along that I'm going to be doing, or quilt-along I'm going to be doing. And it's for the dog pile pattern. I just purchased this pattern. It's this little cute pattern right here for little puppy dogs. And so basically the way this, it actually just started yesterday. So week 1, we're basically just cutting our fabric. And then weeks 2, 3, 4, and 5, we do 1 block. So there's only 4 blocks. And then the last week we assemble the quilt top. Now, I'm going to do mine a little bit differently because this is a pattern with a lot of pieces. So, there 29 different pieces minimum in this. So, and that's only because I'm not doing I've decided I'm not going to do this scrappy border here. I don't want to do that. So, because there's so many pieces, I think it's going to be easier for me to assemble the blocks together at the same time. So I am going to be working it in sections. So I'm going to follow the instructions, and then I'm going to take my pieces and do them all at the same time, like I'm chain piecing, because I think that with the amount of pieces in the block, to have to go through all of these pieces, you see I've got them all, to have to pull out what I need for block 1, then go back, pull out what I need for block 2, then go back, pull out what I need for block 3, and then go back and pull out what I need for block 4. It's just going to be a lot, and the instructions are very very detailed, very intricate. There's a lot going on here. So I think it's just going to be easier for me to maybe follow the first 5 steps for all 4 blocks, then the next 5 steps for all 4 blocks, or something like that, and break it down like that. I don't think that I'm going to be making 1 block at a time. I'm making this using some blenders. So I am using, of course, black for the eyes and mouth. I'm using this white for my background, and my dog colors are going to be kind of this coral color, this green, this purple, and this pink. So they're all the exact same pattern, just different colors. So I just pulled some like blenders from my stash, and that's kind of what I have decided to do. My collars are all going to be the same color. I'm going to do a brown collar instead of having different collars like in the pattern. So I'm not going to be giving updates as I go along, because I'm not going to have completed blocks to show you. I'm not going to have a completed block until I'm done. So I'm not going to be able to say, okay, here's week 2, here's my first completed block. No, I'm just going to kind of go as I go along, and maybe I'll do an update in the middle with my progress. So there's that. And so I'll probably just do a combined video, because I'm doing a second quilt along. This is with Gudrun Erla with GE Designs. I'm a fan of hers. I watch her live streams, and I generally try to participate in her quilt alongs. And she is doing a quilt along for a pattern in her Stripology Mixology 2 book. And the name of the pattern is called Jackie. And basically this pattern takes 1 background, and then a small number of 2.5-inch strips to make this quilt. But as an alternative, instead of using a single background, you can choose to use fat quarters, and you would need 1 fat quarter for each block, and then various strips of either like colors or different colors for your strips. I've decided to go with this. I've decided to do that. Since I've got so many fat quarters, it just made a lot more sense. Because it takes 5 yards of background. I don't have 5 yards of, well, there might be one or maybe 3 different fabrics that I might have 5 yards of. I don't normally keep that much because I don't like quilts that are background heavy. That's just not my thing. So generally when I buy a background, I buy anywhere from 2 to 4 yards, and that's it. Generally 3 is where I kind of tap out at, because usually if a pattern takes more than 3 yards of background, I'm not going to make it. So I'm going to be doing the lap size quilt. It is 60 by 74. I have been auditioning fabric all day. Okay. Now, the pattern does not tell you how to use fat quarters instead. Now, she did release an extended version of this pattern where she shows you how to do that. But if you're a good pattern reader, you can figure out how to do that, how to use fat quarters instead of background. It's a pretty easy thing to do. It was pretty easy for me. So I did that, and then I got the ugliest fat quarter I had in my stash to make a sample block, just to make sure that I had done my calculations properly, and I did. So the Bonnie Hunter, if you're familiar with her, she says that if a fabric is ugly, it just means you didn't cut it up small enough. Well, I don't really like to cut anything into teeny tiny pieces, so for me, this is an ugly piece of fabric to me, right? So not the yellow. The yellow here is fine. This yellow is some fabric that I got from Walmart. I don't know, maybe 20 years ago. Walmart or Joann's. It was one of the two. I have it in several different colors. But I tested my math. Everything works out. So I've got this going, and I've been auditioning fabric all day because I wanted to use something large scale, right? Because the whole point of something like this is that you can use a large scale print that you don't really want to cut up small. And so I was looking at my fabrics, and I'm looking, and I'm like, no, not that. Or like I'd find a bundle that I like, but maybe I didn't like the colors that I had for the strips, and I did not want to purchase fabric. I have enough fabric, and I like to buy fabric that I almost never buy fabric for a project. So it's not like, oh, I have this project and I need some fabric. Usually I try to, because I've got enough stash here, I usually try to, if I'm going to do something like this, I'll try to use something from my stash. And so that's what I wanted to do. And I auditioned, I think, 10 different fat quarter bundles today. Well, between today and yesterday. So I had fabric everywhere, and then I had contrasting fabric to try to use for these strips. Like I had so much going on today, just trying to figure out what I was going to do. And so I finally decided, because sometimes I could find a fabric bundle that I liked, but I could not find something to use for the strips. I didn't have anything in my stash that I liked that coordinated with the entire bundle that I could use for the strip part of it. So I finally decided on this Tilda fabric that I have here. Let's see here. So I finally decided on this because this Tilda fabric is so pretty. It's folded up so small, but just larger scale prints. Super, super pretty, and I really just want to let the fabric be the star of the quilt. So I wanted something very muted to use as my strip, as the fabric for the strips. I wanted something muted so that it wouldn't take away from the fat quarter. So this is Garden Life by Tilda, came out spring 2021, and so I thought about using white, but I thought the white would just be too... I thought the white would pop too much, and I really don't want the strips to pop. I really don't. I want the fabric to be the star of the show. Now, I don't know how this is going to come out, right? I don't know how it's going to come out, but I chose to use this fabric here. This is a very light blue. I love this. I love this. I wish I could get more of it. It's from Boundless, back when Blueprint was out, before they turned back to Craftsy. I had an opportunity to get 7.5 yards of this at a super cheap price, like $3 a yard, or like $3 or $4 a yard, something like that. It's super cheap. And so I ended up getting 7.5 yards of it because it was supposed to be like, I don't know. And I used some of it in a quilt, and I don't know how many yards I have left, but quite a few. Probably 5 out if I had to guess. This project takes 1.5 yards for the size of the quilt that I'm making. And so I just kind of felt like this kind of blended with all of the colors, but wasn't going to stand out too much to take away. So before I cut everything, I think I'm going to do another test block using one of these fat quarters and this, just to make sure that I like the combination and that it's going to turn out the way that I want it to. So this quilt-along starts January 25th and it runs for 4 weeks. So I'll be doing these simultaneously, in addition to trying to have complete one work in progress every month. So a lot, right? And then last but not least, I am going to be doing a retreat. I have always wanted to go to a retreat, but I'm kind of cheap. And it's like, if I do a retreat, I still have one child who's, 14, that I have to think about and make sure that he's cared for. And my fiance, he works ridiculous hours, and my son is old enough to be home alone, and I have a 26-year-old who lives here, so it's not as big of an issue as it used to be, but certainly a bit of an issue. But also, like, I don't want to spend the money. Like, a lot of the retreats are not a distance that I can drive in a couple of hours. So it would involve me driving to the airport, paying to park my car, paying for my flight, paying for the retreat and the hotel, and usually all of your meals aren't provided. They might provide some meals, but some meals you have to pay for. And it was just a lot of money. And then, if I'm going to take kind of a vacation, I kind of want to take it with my family and not just by myself. But that's just me. So this is a virtual retreat. Now, I've seen some other virtual retreats, and I don't know, I just never quite bit the bullet. Either because I didn't feel like the value was there for me to do it. So I am going to be doing this retreat. It is by, this is also by Gudrun Erla with GE Designs. She is doing a virtual retreat. And she had initially did a session that sold out in like days. So it's like a 4-day session. The first and last day are half days. And the 2 days in the middle are like full days, like morning to evening. Right? And so one of the session that sold out starts March 23rd. It ends on March 26th. And then the second session that she added is actually before the first session because it was the only time she could squeeze it in, and that's from March 9th to the 12th. I missed the first offering of March 23rd to the 26th, but I did get on the one that's March 9th to the 12th. But she did say there's flexibility to change the dates. So I think I'm going to try to change. Well, I've already sent a request to change my date to the March 23rd to the 26th because that gives me time to finish these 2 quilt-alongs and get some other things wrapped up before I have the retreat. So that's what I'm going to do. It was $395, which sounds kind of steep. But you get some stuff that I didn't think that you got with other online retreats that I saw. So one, you get a fabric bundle, and that fabric bundle has 12 half yards of fabric in it. Then there's also binding fabric and background fabric that is included because she's giving you 3 patterns, 2 lap size quilts and 1 table runner. And the fabric that you are getting is enough for you to do both of those lap size quilts and the table runner. All the fabric for the front and the binding, all you need is backing. And I was like, because the fabric bundle by itself would be like $69 to $79 just for the 12 half yards. And then the backing fabric that you get, you figure there's going to be a couple yards of that, and then your binding fabric, probably at least a yard of that. So at least $100 of the cost is fabric. And then you're getting 3 patterns. So that's another $30 for the patterns. So I'm like, okay, this is going to work. And then you get extra little goodies. We don't know what that stuff is yet, but there's going to be extra little things, and then there are going to be games and chances to win prizes at the retreat. And she did one of these last year, and I missed out on it. So I really wanted to make sure that I did it this year. So I am doing it. I'm excited about it. I can't wait. Because and then also when you have an in-person retreat, you got to bring your sewing machine. My sewing machine was expensive. You know, I got a bonus from work, and I had to get a new HVAC system. And then I had some money left over, and I used it to buy my sewing machine. I have a Janome 8200 QCP. And that little puppy, at the time that I bought it, cost me $2,000. That's a lot of money. That was the big investment that I made, because I knew that I have always been interested in sewing. I've been interested in quilting or doing some form of quilting, although I had to take a long hiatus because of my kids and space and time and jobs. But I don't want to travel with that. There's no part of me that wants to put that on a plane and entrust it to some baggage handler who's going to just throw my stuff around. Like, no. And I have some backup machines that are way less expensive, but that's not what I want. My machine, I want to sew on my machine. So I would either want the Janome or the Juki. I have a Juki 2000. I wanted the 2010, but I was too cheap to pay the extra couple $100 for speed control, because I already have a main machine. So I didn't want to pay that for a backup machine. I don't know. I didn't. But I wouldn't want to entrust. So I just would not want to. So then I had the added expense of having to rent a machine and become familiar with another machine. And I don't want to do that either. So, unless it's something I can drive to in 2 hours, and a lot of the ones that I would see, you know, it was going to cost a couple grand, because you got to, you know, there's this hotel that you got to stay in and all this other stuff. And I was like, no, I don't, even if it's $1,000, I don't want to, I don't want to. But $395, okay. I didn't buy myself anything for Christmas this year. So yeah, I'm super excited. I'm going to be doing my first retreat. It's virtual, as I said. But I think it's going to be a really good experience, and I'm really excited about it. I can just I'm going to take a couple days off work. I'm going to hole myself up in my sewing room with my laptop on and stream the retreat. So that's what I've got going on. I'm really, really excited. Just completely off topic. You have not seen a Sew Sampler unboxing. If you are not a Sew Sampler subscriber, you might not know what's going on, but basically everything is delayed. It's January, and we don't even have the November box yet. So we just got word that the January box is theoretically the November box is theoretically gonna ship in late January, and then December in mid-February, and then January's in late February. That's what we're looking at now. You've also have not seen an unboxing for Goodies Color Club. Same thing. Fabric is delayed. They're still waiting on one of the SKUs to come in. A lot of fabric companies shut down for the holidays. Like they'll be closed from Thanksgiving to Christmas, and then they have inventory after that. So there can be massive delays this time of year. So I know I was watching one of Gudrun's live streams, and she was saying, you know, there's a Valentine's Day fabric that they were supposed to get in November that's just coming in now. So It's just the nature of the beast and the times we live in right now. So that's why you're not seeing that. So, yeah. So I've chosen my fabric from my dog pile Quilt-Along. I've got everything cut up and ready to go. I'll probably go ahead and start sewing if once I get all of this fabric pressed and cut. So once I get my Tilda fabric pressed and cut, then I'll go ahead and start piecing the dog pile so that I can kind of get a jump on things. It's going to be a lot of sewing for me, but this is kind of the best way for me. If I don't have anything scheduled like this, I'll tend to go days without sewing. The only thing that I've sewn since I got back from my vacation was that test block that I showed you guys. That's literally the only thing that I've sewn. I got back Saturday night. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 3 days. And the only thing I've sewn is that one test block. But I did do pressing and cutting, and I've got some more of that on my horizon. So stay tuned, and I will see you next video.